this is how to build a Speedflex. As you can see, I've got all the parts here. This is a pre-assembled one that I did earlier. So this is what we want it to look like in the end. Now, the method of joinery for this, I'm going to use a soldering iron to melt the parts together. You can also use a hot glue gun, but anything will do. The idea is that these are all sliced up to reduce the amount of supports required. So I'm going to use bulldog clips to stick them together and then go along with the soldering iron and just join all the seams together. So I'm going to do one and show you how to do it. Alright, so as you can see, I've got a clip here and a clip here. The main purpose of these is not really to hold the parts together. It's just to make sure they stay together enough that you're only going to have to hold it in one certain spot to weld it together. So I've got my soldering iron. I'm going to push on the top of the part to make sure that the seam is together. And then I'm going to take the soldering iron and just slowly do a few little dots, melting the plastic together in that one area. Do a 3 to 5 centimeter weld on the top half, and it should look something like that. So there should be a relatively small line there. That is a pretty good seam. From the other side, with a little bit of sanding, that'll come right off. So I'm going to go along the whole way along here, and then I'll come back once I've done that. Alright, so we've got our piece. Only the inside has been welded. You can see there's a very clear line of where it's been welded all the way through. That is pretty strong. Now, I'm going to show you how to make the next bit. Okay, for the next bit, you're going to need all 4 of these pieces. So the thinner ones, you're going to want to line up wherever this triangle lines up with this triangle on the other piece. So if I do it like that, this is the wrong piece. You need this piece to go like that. So there's a nice join here and on the other end as well. So set this aside, and then again I'm going to take my clip and I'm going to clip this together. Okay, so make sure you put one clip on this end and one clip on the other end. Make sure that for the middle part there is very minimal separation between the two parts. We're going to start welding from this end, so the end with the arrow, and we're going to go all the way across to here and then stop where it starts lifting up and readjust later. Taking your soldering iron, lay this flat on your workbench, start just before the ridge in the part. Again, using the same technique, slowly running it across, not too much pressure, melting them together. Do that for about 5 centimeters there. Then make sure it's all good before it fully has time to set. Then, very carefully, so you don't damage the triangle, slowly weld these together until that's all good there. Then go all the way to here, wherever it starts lifting off, and just weld that together. Right, that is that section welded. Let's readjust the clips. I've readjusted the back clip, so there's now no gap in the seam, and now we're going to weld this back bit. So be careful around here as it gets very thin. What you're going to want to do is do a little dot either side, and that'll ensure that there's loads of strength in there. Then do the side towards you first. Same technique, bringing it through, make sure that's all joined. That's a good join. Now, do another dot there, right before the bulldog clip. Now you can take the bulldog clip off and it'll stay together. Go along that seam and just weld that together all the way across. Tidy up the end, and that's pretty good. Now I've taken the front clip off. This is just free floating. What you're going to want to do is just pull it against your body So pull the flat bit against your chest or your stomach. Make sure that you're very careful with the soldering iron. And then just do a dot on the far outer side, and that'll join it together. Once you've got that initial dot, slowly go along and finish off melting the rest together. Right, now that part is all done. The weld's very good. For the other part, do the exact same in reverse. Alright, so we've got both of our sides nicely welded together. The seams on the outside should be pretty clean. If there's any severe gaps, I suggest using something like this, a spackle filler, or you can get old bits of filament and just like melt it into the seams and make it really clean, if that is something that matters to you. The next step is going to be joining our sides onto the top. So this part is the actual flex panel. So this is like the forehead, and then the two parts that we've just joined are the sides of the head. So the most important part of this is lining up this bit with this bit, like that, and then clipping it. So I'm going to go clip it and then show you how it looks. Alright, so I've got a clip here at the front holding that seam together, and a clip here at the back holding them together. The most crucial part of alignment is here. Check on the outside, make sure that when you push it together, they line up perfectly. Same on the inside. Once you're happy with it, you're ready to start soldering. Grab your solder or glue, or whatever you're using, and then get it positioned . Right, with your soldering iron, join this part together. Make sure that from the outside it's as smooth as it can be, because this is what's going to matter in the painting process. Just weld it together along that seam. Alright, that from the outside is pretty good. If you run your finger along it, you should feel like they mesh together pretty well. Once you're happy with that middle bit, take the front off and then readjust it until it lines up perfectly. I've readjusted that perfectly for this section, so we're going to solder this section now. Again, grab the soldering iron, start in a line with there. So start there, slowly make your way down, just welding the parts together again. Okay, now we're going to readjust this again and then finish welding this section. This last bit, using either a smaller clip or putting on its flat side, which is this part, putting it down and then putting pressure on it is easier than having it elevated and welding it. So I'm going to put it flat and then go from the underneath and make sure that the front is aligned, and just do a few little dabs here and there. Make sure it's bonding together well. Just pushing down on it. Alright, and now that front section is bonded together pretty well through there. Well enough that we can take the clip off and it's not going to matter. So now I'm going to go all through here and finish off welding that. The front section all the way from here and here is done. Now we're going to do the back. You should be able to take the back clip off and it not move that much because we've already done so much here. But I suggest that you just realign it and clip it, and then do just this section here and only take it off once you're confident that that's joined. Alright, so we've got this entire part welded on now. That is now all one piece. that seam runs the whole way along there and out the back. From the outside, it's pretty clean. I'm sure if we filled it in with a little bit of spackle, it would definitely look a lot nicer, but that's later on in the process. Now, I'm going to do this side. It's the exact same as this, just do it backwards. So, we've got the entire upper half done now. As you can see, I've joined this all across there. It's looking pretty good. There is some small discrepancies, but that's just the printer quality, and these things can be fixed up. Now, I'm going to be joining the bottom half to the top half. The easiest way to line this up is by the upper face mask holes. So, what you want to do is grab preferably the right side and line up this ridge and that ridge with this ridge and that ridge there, and then clip them together on this side and the exact same on the other side. Alright, I've got a clip here and a clip here. As you can see, this back bit is all floppy. Doesn't matter. All we're doing at the moment is joining from here to here and this little section here. So, again, get your soldering iron or your glue stick or whatever you're using. The most important part is that you put a join here on the outside. Join that out a bit there, just a little dab. We can fix it up later. And now that is joined enough for us to go start working on the inside. So, flip it over, do the exact same on the other side. Make sure the halves are together, which is usually a bit finicky, but once they're together, it's really good join. All right. Put your little dot on the outside, anywhere. Right, now that is kind of together. Flip it over to the inside. Preferably put your hand in and push down on the seam. Go to the inside of it, and then from this section to this section on the inside, on both sides, just weld to the hole, and then until it starts sloping down. Okay. It's probably a bit difficult to see, but on the inner part here, along here, is all welded together. We can now take the clip off that section and then weld the front bit. Just make sure it's together enough. So yeah, you can still use with the clip on. It's probably easier if you leave the clip on just a little bit longer, just to get it perfectly aligned. Do the front half of that little section, and then you can take the clip off. It should be right. Alright, that front half's done. I'm now going to take the clip off and do the rest of it. Again, push down on the inside and just finish off that weld. Alright, and now one of that sections is together. On the inside, you can see that we go all the way along here, is all welded. So now I'm going to do the exact same on this side. Okay, so we've got both this side and this side only in that little section between there together. The back is still very much loose. Now, if you really want to, you can get a bit of electrical tape or masking tape and then just hold these bits together and put a strip across there. But it isn't really necessary, as the joins that we've just done are pretty much strong enough. So I'm going to grab the soldering iron from the outside again, and just only between the width of this hole, join the outside together. Across the top, only the outside in that section. Just let it cool. Alright, so now that is strong enough for it to be all held together, and we can now transition to the inside. Now, on the inside, the exact same spot, but on the inside, do the exact same thing. Join that little section together there. Alright, we've got that little spot there, all done. The helmet is now pretty secure. We've still got to tidy up the edges because they're not welded yet, but the hardest part is now done. So from now on, you're just working around the inside. So I'll do this side, and then it's the exact same on the other side, so we'll just cut after that. Right, start relatively in the middle, make sure that the sides are already aligned, and then kind of work in 3 centimeter join welds. So about 3 centimeters in the middle, let it set. Alright, now we've got in here our little 3 centimeter line there. About that joined. On the outside, it is a little bit rough here, so I'll have to fill that in later with the spackle, but that's part of the next video. So continue along with the soldering iron, all in here, just joining it all together. Alright, that is a completely assembled shell. Now, we still got to go around with the spacker filler and make it all nice and smooth and sanding and everything, but that is the assembled shell.